Hi, we're talking about the eccentric portion of the deadlift today, just putting the bar down. And I'm referencing Starting Strength, Basic Barbell Training, 3rd edition. So this is the methodology that this book recommends. I'm not associated with the company, I'm just following the method. So if you use a different method or you're just not a fan of the SS method for deadlifts, the video probably won't be terribly useful to you, terribly helpful. But if you are trying to follow this technique, and you're wondering a little bit about putting the bar down, maybe I can shed some insight. There were a couple of questions on the forum recently about putting the bar down in a straight line, which certainly is the goal in picking it up and also is the goal in putting it down. And a lot of lifters have noticed, especially those who are using those hexagonal plates, that if you don't put the bar down straight, it tends to get away from you. So it'll kind of roll away, the hexagonal plates will, and end up kind of on the wrong side, basically. Hard to explain, but the bar will end up in a position that's no longer along the midfoot, and that causes the lifter to either have to pull it from a mechanical disadvantage or to have to kind of shuffle their feet and reapproach the bar, and it gets things a little bit complicated. So hopefully you're using the round plates. If you are, you're fortunate to be using those. But today I'm just going to be showing a common error for putting the bar down. Let me grab the bar here. I just got some wooden training plates on there. And the error really is just leading with the knees to such an extent that the bar is pushed forward of the midline. So just to exaggerate that point again, so if I were to try to use all knee on the way down, it might look like this. And now the bar is several inches away from my shins instead of being lined up nicely against the midfoot. So now for all subsequent pulls, even if you pulled rep 1 correctly, for all subsequent pulls 2 through probably 5, you're looking at the bar being forward of the midfoot and again having to do a correction of some sort. And this is probably common for someone who maybe is used to doing a trap bar deadlift, or who just is picturing trying to squat the weight down and up. That's my guess, really. And maybe it comes from someone who is just a little bit uncertain about what the motion really ought to look like. And I think another reason why that form error is so attractive to some people is because it allows you to keep the torso much more upright when you're putting the bar down. So it gives kind of the idea that you're putting a little bit less stress, less strain on your back. But as we've noted, if you use too much knee, if you really exaggerate it and it really just gets excessive, then you're putting the bar down in such a way that it's several inches away from you, and now you've got to make a new correction. So let me demonstrate just one more time what that form fault would look like. So here we are at the top, and now I'm illustrating someone who's really exaggerating too much knee action at the top. And now look, the bar is almost just about a foot in front of me. That's a real exaggeration. And I'm sure there are degrees of this error. But just to show what happens when you don't put the bar down in a straight line, using some hip and some knee together. If you are pulling with this SS format, so I'll run through this really quickly. And if I want to put it down in a straight line, I'm going to use what I like to call soft knees. So I'm not hyperextending my knees here, but they're soft a little bit. But I'm using hips back to bring the bar to the knees. I think Rip says something like hips bring the bar to the knees, knees then bring the bar to the floor, or something along those lines. But it would try to create a straight line somewhat like this. That was probably a little imperfect, but you get the general idea is that if you're finishing a pull, let's say you got it right here, you're finishing it, bringing the hips forward, that's going to be the first thing you do to reverse that exact motion, is bring the hips back. And that's not to say that your back's going to do all that work. That's an exaggeration in the other direction. But just a common problem to point out, that if you're finding that the bar is gradually getting too far in front of you, look at the way you're putting it down. You're looking for a straight line, and if you're really exaggerating knees when you put that bar down, that's probably why it's not going down straight. So there's probably more on that in the book here, but just wanted to make a visual representation of what might be going on here, and hopefully help out a few lifters on the forum. Thanks.